You see, you have a choice. Every day you get to choose how to speak to yourself. But you know what you don't get to choose? What you do to your body when you say, I'm an idiot, I knew I'd mess that up. You can make anything familiar or unfamiliar. And my advice to everyone is look at your bad habits and make them unfamiliar. And look at what you want, especially praise, and make it familiar. So let's do a quick little language thing right now. I want you to close your eyes and I want you to go, I'm going to try to remember these rules of the mind. I'm going to try so hard to memorize it. If only I could memorize that document. I wish I had a better memory. I hope I can remember that when I'm working with my own client. I really hope I can do what she does. I wish I could do it. I hope to do it. I'm going to try to do it. I really want to do it. And just focus on how you feel when you use the word wish, which is wishy-washy. I don't like wish. Wishing says to your mind, you haven't got a prayer, but you might as well wish. Because wishing just says, you're not going to do that. Oh, I wish. No one says, I wish I could get up in the morning and clean my teeth. I wish I could pick up that pencil and write a note. You don't say wish, you go, I'm doing it. So when you say to the mind, I wish I could, it says, yeah, me too, get over it. When you say to the mind, I hope I get this right, it goes, yeah, well, keep hoping, because you're not going to do that. When you go, if only, your mind goes, well, you never managed it before, so keep on with the if only, why don't you? But when you do it differently, close your eyes again and go, I will memorize this. It's going in. I have a phenomenal memory. My memory is awesome. I read things and they empower me and they stick. I am remembering it all. I do this. I've got it. I have a phenomenal memory. I have incredible powers of recall and assimilation. And I remember everything. It has a totally different effect. And so you learn with language. I never let my clients say wish. I won't allow them to say the word but. I could do that, but. No, we never say but. And we also never say should. My therapist said to me, excuse me swearing, should is shit, and never use that word. I should. I say I could. I should go to the gym. I could go to the gym, but I know it's my fault. I'm not making the effort. So with young children, just changing one word will change their life. I'll give you an example. My little girl would go to school, and she'd get to the gate, and she'd come back, and I'd always say, what have you remembered? Could have said, what have you forgotten? There's only 2 words. What have you? She goes, I've remembered my swimming kit. I've remembered my book. I've remembered my PE. I go, that's fantastic. You have such a great memory that when you get to the gate, you remember and back you come. And very quickly, she didn't have to come back because I never said, what have you forgotten today? Oh my God, your mind is like a sieve. What's wrong with you? You get to the gate. And I never do that, and you forget. Why can't you be like me? I have my little bag by the door. I put everything the night before, and I never did that. I said, what have you remembered? So here's just one word. And my clients really taught me the power of words, because I'd see the ones who'd come and go, I wish I could do that. Oh, thanks, Marisa, for all this. I could do that, but I know I ought to do that, and I should, but. And so I started banning words. I said, when you come in this office, you're not allowed to go wish, but, hope. I work a lot with infertile women, and the ones who don't get pregnant always say that, I wish I could get pregnant. And then when they get pregnant, they say, I'm so scared of losing it. I'm not going to tell anyone just in case I lose it. I'm like, well, but what are you saying to your baby? It's in the womb. The most developed sense is hearing. I'm not even going to tell anyone you're here because I have no faith you're going to make it. I go, how about sending the scans out to your parents and showing them, this is my baby, it's staying, my body made it, my body is so super smart. My body is going to carry this baby to full term. This is my one chance in the world to be God. I'm making a miracle here. And my body is growing that baby physically, me, and I'm growing and nurturing that baby emotionally, and every day I tell it, today your spine is forming. This week your mouth and lips are forming and your ears are forming, and it sends a message to the brain that goes, this is working, whereas running to the bathroom every hour to just see if you're spotting, saying, oh, I'm really scared of losing it, sends a message to the mind. And one of the rules of the mind, and it's the best rule, is that every thought you think and every word you say forms a blueprint, and your mind must work to make that blueprint real. So when you say, I can't remember anything, I'd lose the eyes in the back of my head if they weren't fixed in there, because I just can't remember anything. Your mind goes, that's a blueprint. Let me take you to it. And when you say, my memory is phenomenal, foolproof. In fact, I'm like human Google. When I read an exam, the minute I read the question, my mind has already gone to work, found the answer, and it stays in my head right through until I write it on the paper. Then I read the next question. The same thing happens as I read the question. Google says, here's the answer. I work with children all the time with exam stress, and they come in. I was a little boy last year who had, I think there were 17 children applied for every place in his school. And he flunked the mocks. And I'm like, darling, you're supposed to flunk the mocks. It's great to flunk the mocks. You know what mocks are, don't you? Oh, so in England, when you're taking an exam, you have a mock exam, maybe 6 weeks before you take the exam, just to see how you do. And then they say, well, you did terribly, you did really well. And because you did really well, you're going to pass that exam. And because you did terribly, you're going to fail. In fact, the ones who do well in the mocks get so complacent, they often don't do so well in the actual exam. And the ones who do badly think, wow, I need to up my game. I need to revise more and study more. So when he came in and said, my mummy was so upset because I got really bad marks in the mocks, I went, that's fantastic. What were you worse on? He said that the writing, what did you do? So I didn't read the instructions correctly, and I didn't use the right words. I went, that's fantastic. So what did you need to do? And just by changing his language, I didn't use the right words, and explaining to him that he could do it, and telling him that his mind was like Google. Then I was asking him some questions about Harry Potter. And I said, how do you know these answers? Have you studied Harry Potter? He went, no, I just really like it. I said, well, see how clever your mind is. So when you're working with a kid that says, I don't know, ask them about James Bond. Ask them about something that they like and go, how do you know this? They go, I don't know. How do you know? Wow, you're so smart. Because when they like something, they remember. And part of school is liking something. So with this little kid, he got into that school. I knew he'd get in because he came in like that and he left like that. He was like, I'm going to nail this. I know what to do. My mind is like Google. And I will say to all my clients, whether they're a 7-year-old taking an exam or someone taking a medical exam or the bar, I say, whatever you're reading, your focus narrows down. You say the word narrow down, and when you say narrow down, everything fades away. You're absorbed in that paper. You have phenomenal powers of concentration, comprehension, recall, retention, and assimilation. And I say words that help you do the next one. Comprehension, comprehension, retention, recall, assimilation. I say it over and over again because the mind believes what you tell it. So let's go through the rules of the mind. Here is the first one. What is expected tends to be realized. When you say to a child, I don't know what's wrong with you. Your brother was in my class last year and he was so good. Why can't you learn? Why can't you sit still? Why are you so disruptive? What is wrong with you? You're making words that form a child's blueprint. And exactly the same for adults. I'm referring this a lot to children, but for the therapist here, those children come in as your clients. But it's just the same for adult. If your boss says to you, can you do this? And you go, oh my God, I'm going to have to race through it and I'm going to have to rush it. I haven't got enough time to prepare. I know I'm going to get it wrong. I'm going to go on stage, open my mouth and go, Well, when you say that, it tends to be realized. And here's one of my favorite rules of the mind. The mind responds to words that make a picture. So in America, they were giving these kids pencils called "Don't Do Drugs." And as they sharpened them, the word "don't" disappeared. And they said, "Do drugs." Not very smart. Needed to put that the other way around. What is expected tends to be realized. When a child is doing something like climbing a tree and the mother goes, "You're going to fall, you're going to break your leg, oh my God, you're going to break your ankle," you can make that happen. And when you say to the child, "Now, I know you're climbing the tree, look where you're putting your hands, look where you're going to place your feet, focus on what you're doing," that will be realized. So in powerful language, you can never say, "You're going to fall, you're going to mess that up, you're going to ruin everything." That's just not going to work out. You have to say the opposite. "Okay, I've only got 10 minutes to prepare my speech. I only need 10 minutes. I've only got 10 minutes to get there. That's exactly how much time I need. And if I'm late, I wasn't supposed to be there on time." I have a belief now, when I get to a party late, it's because I wasn't meant to get there early. I no longer go, "Oh my God, I'm so late. This is going to be terrible." In fact, I was recently going in a cab across town to get a train to work with a football team. And we got stuck in traffic. And so I was playing a game. I thought, "Oh my God, I'm going to miss the train. This is terrible. I'm going to ruin my reputation. The team are going to be so upset." And I felt really sick. And then I started to say, "The trains run every 20 minutes. It doesn't matter. What's 20 minutes? My material's so great. They have lots of time." After all, they finished practicing at 3 o'clock. And it was fine. So all the way there, I was playing a game, and I actually got the train on time, but they really wouldn't have minded. But I could have ruined my day, made myself panicky and sweaty by going, "Oh my God, I haven't got enough time," and now it's all ruined. And it's never ruined. You can come back from anything. And then I worked with a client who had cancer and had to go into this MRI scanner. And every time I saw him, he said, I can't do it. I can't get in that scanner. And he said, "Well, I feel like I'm in my coffin. I feel like it's a premonition of my death. And I get in the scanner, I think, well, I've got cancer and I'm going to die." And I said, "Well, I freak out. I press the button, I have to come out." And they keep saying, "Look, you've got to." I can't even be in there for 2 seconds, which is not true. When people say, I can't do it for even a second, he probably was in there for a few minutes. I said, "Look, the words you say to yourself in that scanner, this is a premonition of my death. I feel like I'm in a coffin. I feel like I'm suffocating and I can't do it." That's a blueprint. And your mind doesn't like those words. So how about these words? How about saying, "I'm in my bed at home and I'm just so chilled and I could lie here for hours. I'm chilled, I'm relaxed, I'm blissed out." You must use words that make a picture. You can't go, "Oh, I'm okay, really. I'm quite good. I'm not bad. This is okay." Because when I say the words "okay, not bad," what's the picture? There's no picture. It's what I call fluff. When you say, "I'm chilled, I'm blissed out, I'm ecstatic, I'm just lying here and I could do this for hours, it's just so cool," the mind goes, "You're right." And when you go, "I'm in a coffin and I'm suffocating," the mind goes, "You're right." See, here's the great thing. You can choose any words you like. You can go, "Well, we're all going to be negative and this half's going to be positive." That's your choice. You know what you can't choose? What you do to yourself when you say, "I'm an idiot, I'm a moron, I'm a retard, I've got rocks for brains, everything goes wrong. Who would ever like me? I've got cellulite, I'm a single parent, I've got no chance. Blah, blah, blah. I didn't go to college, so I couldn't possibly do what you do." I got kicked out of college, by the way, so you can definitely do what I do. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I can look at my life and say, being fired, being dumped, and being kicked out of college, thank you, God, for putting that in up to me because it changed my life. It was the best thing. Rejection has been one of the best things that ever happened to me. Being the least favorite kid, if I could have my life again, I'd go back and be the least favorite kid because I thought I'm going to show my parents that I'm something. And if I was the favorite, I wouldn't have done that. I would have had a totally different life. So with my client, I was saying, these words are really important. So he got in the scanner, he stayed there for hours, and he said that when he came out, all the nurses and doctors came in and gave him a standing ovation. He said it was more powerful than his last business deal because he felt so good. Some years later, I had to go in a scanner. I thought, well, I'm just going to play with this. I love playing with words. So I lay there, and I was going, I'm so chilled. This is so good. How many of us would say, I'd love 20 minutes to myself? Well, here I am. 20 minutes to myself. I can lie here and do nothing. No one's going, can you proof this copy? Can you answer this email? Can you speak to this client? My daughter's going, Mummy, my boiler's broken in my apartment. Can you come over right now and fix it? I had 20 minutes to myself. And I was going, I'm so chilled. And then I thought, let's do the opposite. So I was going, I'm in a coffin. I've got claustrophobia. I feel like I'm trapped. And all the buzzers went off, and I didn't even know I was moving. And then they speak to her, like, Marisa, you have to lie completely still. Stop moving. So I had to go back into I'm chilled, I'm ecstatic, I'm blissed out. And I love doing that. And it's a really good thing to do to yourself. I'm late, I've ruined everything. I have all the time I need. You see, you have a choice. Every day you get to choose how to speak to yourself. But you know what you don't get to choose? What you do to your body when you say, I'm an idiot. I knew I'd mess that up. I knew that relationship wouldn't work. I've been waiting for it to go wrong. In fact, the day we got married, I stuck stickers on all my stuff so that when we got divorced, there'd be no confusion. I was already planning the miscarriage. I didn't buy anything for my baby. I mean, who does that? Lots of people, apparently. They're all my clients, and they plan for stuff to go wrong. They say, I sent my kid to college, and I said, don't worry, you're probably going to hate it. Here's a credit card so you can get a return ticket back in a week's time. They plan it, and you don't want to plan it. You want to ban it. So words are really powerful. You can choose to be negative or positive. That's your choice, but you cannot choose what you do to yourself when you use negative language. So the first rule of the mind, what you expect is realized. Who thinks that's true? So here's my advice to you. Expect amazing things then. If what is expected tends to be realized, expect the best. Expect love and success and an amazing life, because you know what? It will probably be realized really fast if you expect it. Imagination is more powerful than knowledge when dealing with your own mind and the mind of others. If I said to any of you, come and stand on this chair, who would come and stand on this chair? I'll give you $100 to stand on this chair. Sure. If I said, well, now the chair is on top of that spire on the highest building in Tallinn, who's going to climb up and stand on it for $100? Who would do that? Some people would, because they've got a good imagination. They go, if I can stand on it there, I can stand. And most people go, no, I could fall. If we had a little tiny plank up here, you can walk the plank when it's on the floor. Put the plank between two high-rise buildings. Who's going to walk it? Not many people, because the imagination that you could fall and kill yourself is way more powerful than the knowledge that I did this on the ground. It's wide enough. Fear of flying. Knowledge says it's actually the safest place in the world. The most dangerous part of a flight is actually the drive to the airport. That's way more dangerous than being in the plane. Do you think the imagination cares? We'll go, I'm in a flying coffin. I'm hurtling through the air, and that guy looks like he's come straight out of ISIS, and he's in the bar. I think he's going to blow up the plane. And then you feel terrible. The other person's going, I'm watching a movie. I've always wanted to watch The Shape of Water. This is so great. Here's my time again to do nothing. So whatever you imagine will defeat logic, will defeat knowledge. And when dealing with children, people do logical stuff. Why are you so bad? Why can't you get it? What's going on? Why are you so naughty? And that doesn't work. I never say to kids, why are you bad? I go, what happened to you? I was working with a little kid recently who always played up before lunch. and would get hysterical after every meal. And I'd actually been in an orphanage in Zimbabwe, and I'd seen that a lot, that at the end of the meals, the kids start weeping uncontrollably because they don't know when the next meal is coming. And they go, look, you're in an orphanage, it's fine. We have food, you'll be fed 3 times a day. It takes about 2 years for those children to stop crying as they remove the plates because the emotion is, when's the next meal coming? So this little boy was really difficult at school, and he'd been to 3 different schools. And one of the teachers contacted me, and I said, when does he do it? She said, well, he always does it before meals. And I said, you should ask him, not why he does it, but what happened to him. And then the mother came in and said, well, I adopted him at 1. He was born to crackheads. And he used to cry when I left the room. And when I read his notes, his parents would leave the room for 3 days. And he didn't get fed very much. And so he's got this panic about not being fed. And I said, well, you should tell the school that. And of course, you can't logically say to a child, look, you're going to be fed every 4 hours. You have to go, look, you have some memories. They're really sad, but Mummy is going to put some nuts in your bag, and you're always going to have something. And you can't do it logically because feeling is more powerful than logic. The feeling you're going to die on a plane will always wipe out the logic. This is the safest way to travel. One of my clients said, please help me. She said, I've done the logic. I went to British Airways flying course. I walked into the cockpit wearing shorts, and I lost control of my bowels in front of everyone. Now I'm even more scared about flying because this was a course to make you better. They were logically showing me all the controls. When they said they were taking off, I had a terrible accident. I knew it was bad because the pilot put a mask on and I had to be taken off that plane. And now I'm even further back from ever flying because logic doesn't work. Emotion does. And so I would talk to her and say, you know, you have to pretend you're at the fun fair. You have to say when you're on the plane, I love it. Oh my God, flying thrills me. It elates me. It empowers me. It delights me. I love flying. Your mind goes, you're right. And when you go, I'm going to be blown out of the sky to smithereens, your mind goes, you're right. Because here's another rule of the mind. It does not care if what you do is right or wrong, good or bad, true or false, healthy or unhealthy. It just lets it in. When we say, I'd die if my next relationship ends, if I got hurt like this again, it would kill me, the mind goes, you know what, if it would kill you, why don't I just turn you into a complete bitch? You never have another relationship again, and then it can't kill you.
Right. And then you'll never have love as well.
No. Yeah. Or men who go, you know, well, women are ball breakers. They just want your money. I'm done with women. I couldn't go through that again. It would kill me if I had to lose half my property again.
Right.
The mind goes, that's my job. You see, we think our mind's job is to make us happy. It really isn't. It's to make us survive against what were once really pretty bad odds. And how we survive is every time we say something that would kill me, I'd die if that happened, the mind goes on red alert to stop it happening. In the same way, if you ate some mushrooms and were violently sick, you'll find the minute you think, oh, no mushrooms again, or shellfish, and the next time you see shellfish, you go, oh, no, I couldn't eat that. Because your mind will always remember what hurts you, because its job is to keep you alive by making sure you don't get hurt. But it doesn't know what hurts you until you say, that last boyfriend broke my heart, shredded it to pieces and jumped on it. No, he just got bored with you. And you probably got bored with him.
Or it wasn't the right fit, or a number of things. Yeah.
And everything he loved in you was still in you. He was just your starter boyfriend. Maybe he was your starter husband, but he didn't kill you. But we tell ourselves all this crazy stuff and then wonder why we feel so crazy, when all we have to do is tell ourselves better stuff. My mum will kill me if I get my shoes dirty. My dad will kill me if I don't get all A's. My dad will go crazy if I come home with a bad report card, which is not true. But if you believe that, then you create a world of stress. All because of what you say to yourself and tell yourself. Yeah. But that's actually very good news, because since you say it, you can say something better.
Say something else. You're in control.
Yeah, always.
What's the thing that you see the most that people struggle with? Is it a stress, an overwhelm, an anxiousness, a fear of something?
It's always a belief, I'm not enough. That's the biggest thing. In fact, I always say to all my clients, there's only 3 things wrong with everyone.
everyone has got three things wrong. The number one is I'm not enough. The second one is I'm different, so I can't connect. And the third is I really want something like freedom from depression or success, but it's not available. But I'm not enough is the biggest. I mean, I've worked with hundreds of thousands of addicts. I've never found one ever that ever believed they're enough. And if we look at the key addictions, shopping, binging on food, binging on alcohol, binging on drugs, sex especially, food, porn, all of those things come from a feeling of emptiness inside because we're taught, oh, you feel a feeling? Why don't you eat some donuts or go onto eBay and buy, or Amazon or buy something, or have a drink? And our feelings are the most real thing we have, and we push them down. We find all this stuff to buy or eat or drink or take to keep us, like John Lennon said, comfortably numb. But then the feelings regroup and come back because they've always got a job to do. And I always say to my clients, look, you've got to feel the feeling until it no longer requires to be felt. You can't eat it or drink it or shop it away, but we're all taught that we can and should. So I'm not enough is the biggest problem I see. I mean, if you look at Amy Winehouse or George Michael or Whitney Houston or Philip Seymour Hoffman, immense talent, a gift, beauty.
Why did they feel like they were enough, though? When the world says you are enough, I'm going to celebrate you, you're going to have everything you want, we're going to talk about you constantly, stroke your ego, pay you a ton of money, how come they still can't get over that they're not enough?
That's a great question. There's a couple of things. First of all, if you're Amy Winehouse and someone says write a song and you write back to black in 5 minutes, they give you $8 million, it's what I call the self-destructiveness of talent. I didn't earn that. It's a bit like a lottery winner. I didn't work for that. I got to get rid of it. You know, lottery winners who haven't had money will almost always go bankrupt very quickly. So if you didn't earn it, it has no value.
That guilt of not feeling like, well, I didn't work 10 years for this. Or,
Even with guys, you know, guys like to pursue women, so they've earned them. If you just give it up to them immediately, they like it, but they don't want to see you again because you've taken away their desire to earn it. If your dad is an heir and gives you a ton of money to open a business, you won't respect it because you didn't earn it. So the first thing is, this came to me so easily, therefore it has no value at all. And that's a big thing with rock stars and music stars who debase it. But the second thing is, with many people, like for instance George Michael and Whitney Houston, always had to pretend they were straight. They have to live a lie from the very beginning. Michael Jackson had to pretend he came from this lovely, God-fearing, wonderful Walton-type family, and we know that wasn't true. Amy had to pretend that she didn't mind at all that her dad left her mum when she was 4, and she minded very much indeed. So when you fake it and fake it and fake it and fool the world, you can't fool yourself, and then you're living a lie, and eventually it comes back. And people like Whitney, who was just so talented, then use drugs to hide the pain, because I can't now come out and say that I'm not straight, and I'm portrayed as this Bible-bashing, God-fearing man, heterosexual, man-loving girl, and that's not me. I'm a party animal. I like women. But she wasn't allowed to say that.
Coming from the church and everything else.
Coming from the church, and it's so unfair to do that to people because you make them pretend to be something else, which causes intense stress. And then when you're intense stress, what do? You have to take drugs. I remember years ago Carrie Fisher's mother saying that she would appear on screen with 2 baby diaper pins on her shirt, and she was America's golden girl, but her husband was cheating. She was a chronic bulimic all her life and hid that, and such a shame.
You mentioned something about leaning into the feelings until you no longer need to feel them, or until they go away.
Feel the feeling until it no longer requires to be felt.
Why should we do that? So give me an example of a feeling.
So let's imagine you and your ex-wife are not getting on, and you have a feeling of rage about the fact that she's trying to get your kid to call the new guy daddy, and she's blocking you out, and you feel so angry. You think, well, I mustn't feel angry, you know, she's doing it for the interest of my kid, and so I just drink the anger, and I drink the anger. And you see, with a feeling, It's the most real thing you have. A feeling is like a little kid in a class going, notice me, I'm over here. And if you don't, they get more and more out of control. And so when you don't acknowledge your feelings, they regroup and they regroup until they become outrage, rage coming out. And then suddenly they go a bit crazy in the car park of a store or the line of a store because the mind says, I've got all this rage, wants to come out. Someone just cut into the line, take it out on them. And it's so ineffective because I have something I call AAA, which is be aware of your feeling. Most people have no idea what they feel. They go, I shouldn't feel jealous. I shouldn't feel envious. I shouldn't be furious with this kid who's keeping me up all night. So they're not aware of it. They certainly can't accept it and they never get to articulate it. If you can say, you know, my wife's a good person, but actually I'm furious with what she's doing. It really hurts my feelings. That's why group therapy in places like AA, the good thing is you get to say, sometimes I could quite cheerfully hurt my wife. I'm not going to, but I feel like it. Oh yeah, I feel like that too. Because when you can express your feeling, it goes away. It goes away immediately. But when you
communicate it,
even to yourself. So if your mother-in-law is the absolute bitch from hell, and you can't say, by the way, Dorothy, you are the most horrible mother-in-law in the world, but you just go and shut yourself in the bathroom, turn on the taps, flush the toilet, and say, Dorothy is a really unpleasant mother-in-law. And one of my
feel better.
Yeah, you feel so much better because you're not saying it to them. It's like feelings are like gas. They're in or they're out, and they hurt much more when you keep them in. And you want to let them out. Maybe gas, I mean, obviously right in the middle of a meeting, but when you keep stuff in, it causes you pain. And one of my amazing therapists said, my mother-in-law really was the mother-in-law from hell. And I could never say anything because my husband was the golden boy. But after I trained with her, I started to say, you know, Brenda, you're a really unhappy person. And I know you're trying to hurt my feelings, but I just feel so bad. And Brenda finally said to me, you know, I've been bulimic for 32 years. Nobody knows. Could you help me? She completely transformed that woman in 2 sessions, never been bulimic since. And actually, she likes me more than her son now.
Wow.
I'm now the daughter-in-law from heaven. I've got a big halo.
Wow.
But when we keep everything in, it does so much damage. It's like with little kids, they get angry and we shout at them. They go, oh, my anger makes you angry, and I'm not allowed to be angry. I'm not allowed to say something hurt me. And all psychiatrists will tell you that and if you want to be sorted out, here's something you must do. Express your hurt as close to the event that hurt you happening as possible. You can't say to your dad, you know, 20 years I asked for a bike and you got me a skateboard. I didn't want that. They go, what? I worked nights to buy you that bike. You can't get any resolution after 10 years or 20 years. But when you can say to your friend, look, I love you, you're my friend, but it really hurt me when you didn't even turn up to my wedding and I still had to pay for all of that and you didn't call and it hurt me. I still love you, but you hurt my feelings. Then it's gone. But when you keep it in, it doesn't. When you say to the friend, you make me feel so angry, well, you make me feel angry. I didn't come to your wedding because your guest list, that was extortionate, asking for all this stuff. I mean, I'm not Bank of America and I didn't want to buy that stuff. But you can't get resolution. But when you say, I was hurt when, or I felt hurt by, and you can say it to a wall, you can say it to a force, you can say it to a mirror.
You can write it down.
It's not for the other person. It's good to say it because it's out then. And then it goes away. It's the most wonderful thing. It goes away. And then everything is so different.
Yeah, it's interesting because over the last 2 years specifically, it's been magnified with men in the media who have created all these, you know, killings, shootings.
Yeah, I know.
Racial marches, political distress, you know, domestic violence. All these things have been happening and it's been magnified over the last couple of years, right? With Me Too and Time's Up and everything. And as a society, when men are unable to express or communicate themselves, or they're going to be known as weak or soft or whatever the word is, it's hard for them to express themselves in any other way except for this blow up.
Yeah, especially when you say this, like, stop acting like a girl. You're running like a girl.
Exactly.
You're acting like a girl.
Don't be a wuss, don't be this, don't be... It's like less than their manhood or something.
Yeah, of course.
There's no wonder why, if it's not acceptable for men to express themselves in this way, it's hard for them to just be stoic constantly. I'm not saying it's okay what they've done to act out, but I think society in general needs to have a big group hug
Sure.
And let it out in a way where it's more acceptable to express ourselves.
And also, whenever anyone does anything wrong, we go, what's wrong with you? We should say, what happened to you? What happened to you? And they'll go, well, you know, my mom always said she didn't want a boy, she wanted a girl, and I've been brought up. I'll give you an example. I had a city trader as a client who really had problems trading. And his boss said, you know, he's the best trader, but he's so nervous. And when I worked with him, he was saying that when he was a kid, his parents had 2 girls and then him. And he would smash his Tonka toys together and they go, what's wrong with you? Look at your sisters just combing their doll's hair and they're so good. And why are you so aggressive? And a 4-year-old can't go, well, because I have something called testosterone and they don't. And I'm designed to run and jump and hunt and fish. And I got to learn what to do with aggression. Smashing my cars together is good for me. A 4-year-old doesn't have anything because they live in the world of, they just live in a world of feeling, not logic. And he said, I never realized, I spent my whole life thinking something's wrong with me because my parents would say everything conversation, what's wrong with you? Look how neat you. Says they don't get peas on the floor when they eat. And he said, I heard it every day until I formed a belief something's wrong with me. He didn't date women because he thought, well, I should be like one, but I want to be like a man. And that session totally turned him around. He said it was like someone had sprayed him with pheromones because he went out that night and women were attaching themselves to him like a magnet. But he just got rid of the feeling of something's wrong with me. Because most people do walk around going, something's wrong with me, I'm just majorly messed up. And you can't heal.
And no one understands me, no one gets me.
And I don't understand me. And if I don't understand me, how can you?
And why should I even be here?
Yeah, because you can't heal what you can't understand. And so all the treating the symptom is like putting a Band-Aid on an infection. It doesn't, well, when you understand it, you can totally change your perception of what it is, because events actually don't affect you, but the meaning you attach to them does.
The story we tell ourselves about
the story. And that's, I love that, because when I just got all my Stevie Awards, it's like, oh, I feel like I've got an Oscar. And that's good, because I take client stories and I give them a happy ending. Always give them a happy ending. But then you have to understand a bit more of psychology, because humans are hardwired to recreate what they know. We like what's familiar, even if it's very bad. If I've never had money and I win the lottery, I'm going to get rid of it. Or if I've never had love and you love me, I'm going to reject you because it's so unfamiliar. If I've had a dad who calls me an idiot and worthless, guess what kind of guy I like? That's it. Because when I meet them, I go, oh, I feel like I've known this guy my whole life. We just clicked. And then you think, oh my God, it's because he's my dad. But now I've been sleeping with him for 6 months. I don't know what to do with that now. Because we are wired to like what is familiar and to resist what's unfamiliar. And that's what kept us alive. When we lived in walled cities, we didn't go, I'm a bit bored with this group. I think I'll go outside the walled city and find another tribe, because they might have killed you. Mm-hmm. So we have this wiring that says, run towards what's familiar and run away from what's unfamiliar. But the very good news is you can make anything familiar. And the most important thing to make familiar is praising yourself. If you could just do that, that in itself would change your entire life.
How do you praise yourself?
Well, you get up in the morning and go, I'm a good person. I have a skill. I have a talent. I have something to offer the world. I'm here for a reason. You look in the mirror and go, oh, there you are. You're a good person. You've got a good heart. You know, the most important way to answer that question is this. What did you always want your dad to tell you, even if you never had a dad? Mm-hmm. If you had a dad, a good dad, what would he have said? Mm. What would your mum have said? What would a nice teacher have said to you? And it would be something like this. I'm proud of you. You're a good son. I'm so glad I'm your dad. How lucky I got to have you. And a teacher would say, you're such a smart kid. What a joy it is to teach you because you're smart. And we all want to hear the same stuff. I love you. I'm proud of you. You're interesting. You're a great company. Nobody needs to hear I'm the best dentist in Beverly Hills, because that doesn't work. It's emotions. And many of my clients, their mother might be dead, but they're still trying to get her to approve of them. Wow. Dad's living in another country, but they're still working to make him like them. And, you know, the most important thing is you like you. So whatever you wanted to hear, say it to yourself, because your mind doesn't even know that it's coming. And also it doesn't care. Your mind doesn't care if what you tell it is right or wrong, or true or false, or even if it's good or bad, it lets it in like chapstick on your lips. Your lips don't go, is this organic, fair trade? Just lets it in. It needs a bit of nourishment. And we need some nourishment, and words are very nourishing. And there is actually nothing on the planet that will raise your self-esteem like praise. But self-praise is better, because if I said to you, I just adore you, you're amazing. By the way, you know, can you do this and this and this? I've manipulated you. But if I say it to myself, my mind knows there's no manipulation, and the mind likes repetition. And when you say it every day, your mind kind of goes, oh yeah, here you go again with that praise. You say it every day, must be true, and now it sinks in. The problem is if you criticize yourself every day, it says the same thing.
That sinks in as well, and that hurts you. It's interesting because, you know, the big talents that commit suicide or die, you know, who's the comedian? Robin Williams. Yeah, Robin Williams, Amy Winehouse, all these individuals who have the world praising them, but they weren't able to praise themselves.
Yeah, they don't let it in.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if everyone else acknowledges you. Yeah. It does matter, but you have to be willing to acknowledge yourself as well, right?
And the familiar, unfamiliar, if praise is unfamiliar but criticism is familiar, and you say to someone like Robin Williams, oh my God, that last show was funny, he goes, didn't you notice? I've left out the best, I fluffed a word. It wasn't as good as the one before. So if you're not used to praise, you'll reject it. And if you're used to criticism, you'll add it in. Because we do what's familiar. So if we say to someone, I love your book, they go, oh, actually, it's not that good. The other one is much, I love your top. Oh, I got it in a car boot sale. It's 5 years, I've got a hole in it. So if we haven't got praise, we actually reject it. And you just have to say to yourself, I'm going to make this familiar. I'm going to praise myself every day. It might feel weird, but I'll keep doing it. It's a bit like running. You know, running isn't familiar, especially around Beverly Hills. But if you put your shoes on and go for a run on concrete, eventually it becomes familiar, and then you like it. I mean, sticking a lens in your eye, that's the weirdest thing.
Very unfamiliar.
The first few times, like, oh my God, I'm carrying in my eye like that. And then after a while, you can do it almost without thinking, because you get used to it. You can make anything familiar or unfamiliar. And my advice to everyone is look at your bad habits and make them unfamiliar. And look at what you want, especially praise, and make it familiar, more so because if you've got a startup or you're working for yourself, the days of a boss going, well done, good job, pat on the back are over. And you have a praise muscle, and no one's going to build it up except for you. But if you build it up, it makes you bulletproof.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I'm so glad you're talking about this, because we have a similar philosophy, and a lot of people that come to me are afraid of certain things. And at an early age, I was afraid of a lot of things. I was afraid to talk to girls. As a 12-year-old, I was afraid of speaking in public. I was afraid of dancing. I was afraid of all these things, right? And I got so sick and tired of being afraid that I just said, I'm going to give myself a challenge. Every day, you know, when I was afraid of girls, I was like, every time I see a girl that gives me butterflies, I'm going to go up to them and start a conversation. And it's terrifying. And I'm sweating and I'm stumbling over my words. And people rejected me the first few times, but I just kept doing it until a girl said, hi, nice to see you. And you get a little confidence until, you know, by the end of the summer, when I was a teenager, it was like every girl was talking to me.
Of course.
And I tell people, you got to embrace the fear until the fear disappears.
Yeah.
And it's similar with the feelings. Like you've got to live in the feelings until... What would you say?
Feel the feeling until it no longer requires to be felt.
That's great.
Because what you're really describing so eloquently is you had a massive fear of rejection, talking to girls, speaking in public, asking...
feeling enough.
Yeah, someone asking to employ you or pay you. So we have a great fear of rejection, which is not surprising, because when we're born, we have two drivers: find connection, avoid rejection. After all, if a mother rejects a child, if a lion rejects the cub, it's not going to be adopted, it will die. Or it just starves to death. And so we know innately that our survival on the planet is linked to not being rejected. And not that long ago, you would have died from rejection. You know, in 1,000 years ago, when they banished you outside the walls of the city, or you marooned a difficult sailor, or you cast someone out of the community, you pretty much died. There was nothing out there but purgatory. So we have a wiring that says rejection will kill me. And that's why you had the fear. But when you can dialogue with the girl, go, look, no, it feels like it will kill me. It can't kill me, because no girl can reject me unless I give her my permission.
Right, give them my power.
You can't reject me unless I agree with everything. I don't like you because you got short hair. I don't like your shirt. I don't like you because you're white, not white at all, short, glasses, not. But when you say you can't reject me, I can't be rejected, because the only person you can reject me is me. You can talk to girls realizing even if they say, no, you're not my type, I'm with someone, no thanks, or even, ooh, not no, they can only reject you if you let that in. And we look at someone like James Corden, who's certainly not gorgeous, but women love him because he's funny.
So funny.
So funny.
Love
and,
that guy.
you know, we like warm people. You know, the packaging is all very nice. A lot of people have a great packaging, a great wrapper, and but they're unhappy. And so our greatest fear is to be rejected. But the truth is, in 2018, you could live in this apartment, have Amazon deliver your groceries, never see a soul, and you probably live until you're 106.
Yeah.
Wouldn't advise it, but we don't die of rejection anymore, but we still feel like we will. And all schools should be teaching kids, you cannot be rejected. You can ask for a pay rise, you can ask for crowdfunding, you can go to someone and go, here's my idea, you can write a book, speak in public. Because I work with a lot of actors who say, I'm so scared of rejection. I'm like, well, how are you going to be an actor then?
Because you're supposed to be rejected
so
all the time.
So you and I write books. For everyone who loves it, there's going to be the odd person who goes, I hate this book and I hate that writer too. But we don't let it in. We have to laugh about it. When you give a YouTube talk, I mean, I've got, one of my talks got like 3 million views, and there's a few in there going, I hate her, stuck-up English snob. But they don't know me, because that's not me at all. But I don't go, oh my God, I can never write another book. I'm okay because I don't let it in, because the only opinion that matters is my opinion. I know I'm not a stuck-up English snob, so that can't hurt me. Because if it did, I wouldn't be sharing it with you.
Right, yeah. So if everyone's giving you negative feedback or critical feedback on who you are, your performance, your work, how does someone not let it affect them? How does someone say, okay, it came
That's such a great question. So if someone just comes in and goes, oh, I hate that shirt, or that colour is so not you, or you should never have cut your hair, or whoa, you've got a bit heavy, you just go, thanks for sharing that. Just a really simple thing which says, thank you for sharing your opinion, which I can choose to not let in. You don't have to do anything else.
Right.
When the minute you go, well, your shirt's pretty awful, or look at your hair, or calling me heavy, you look anorexic, you've let it in. And now you're trying to retaliate. And it's like a game of tennis. If you put down your racket and walk off the court, you can't volley. So the first thing to say is, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
And it's very good for the little barbs we get from people, family, friends, sisters, cousins, exes.
Right.
If someone is really mean and says, you know, I listened to your talk on YouTube, oh my God, you stank up the place, I was embarrassed for you, then you go back and you say, I missed that. Could you repeat that for me, slowly? They will usually not bother, because they know that in you asking them to repeat it slowly, you're going to call them out on it. And they usually go, oh, me and my big mouth, I'm just having a bad, I didn't actually really watch it anyway, just ignore me. And if they do, you must not go after them and go, no, I want you to repeat it right now, say it to my face. Don't do that, because a bit like a lion who bares the teeth, they're saying, back off and I don't want to attack you. When a lion bares its teeth, you don't go up to it, you walk away. It gives you a chance to retract. So saying, could you repeat that slowly, is giving the person a chance to retract. They almost always do, but occasionally they'll come back and go, no, I just said you're so wooden as a speaker, it's an insult to wood. And then you have your third reaction, which is, oh, are you trying to make me feel bad about myself? Amazing. They usually go, no, me? No, I thought I should tell you how bad you are, because you need to get help, or never speak in public again, or I mean, I had a nanny once who was so awful, I had to say to her, darling, you're wonderful, but you're not meant to be a nanny. And I didn't criticize her, I just advised her to go and do something else. And we're still friends. So sometimes people think that the criticism and the barbs and the humor are a good way to give you a message. So when you say you're trying to hurt my feelings, they often say no. When you're being bullied at school, if you say, they go, yeah, I really am, I want to hurt your feelings. That's the point. dummy. Why? Because it's a domination. Bullying is just dominating. It's a bit like a seesaw. The bully feels they're at the bottom and you're above them, and they can only diminish you or embellish themselves to be above you on this little seesaw.
So they feel inferior.
Yeah,
a bully
bullies
feels
always
inferior.
feel inferior. So let's imagine you're poor, your dad drinks, you don't have any money, and there's this kid with new trainers and a new backpack, and they come up and say you're just a faggot or you're gay, because they can't really embellish themselves. So the next option is, let me diminish you. I mean, the embellishment is no one in my family has been divorced, so when we fight it must be your fault. I mean, you're from divorced people, or well, I've got a degree and you haven't, or I've already raised a kid and I've got no problem with those ones, so this must be your fault. So you can embellish yourself, but if you can't, you go into diminishment. And so when someone says, yes, I am trying to hurt your feelings, you simply reply, well, it's not going to work because I'm not letting that in. And I was in my garden last week filming an anti-bullying program, which we're giving away to every school. And I had these kids, and this little girl was saying, I'm not letting that in. That's not going to work. And I said, how do you feel? She goes, I feel so good because he's not hurting my feelings. I'm not letting it in. He can't hurt me because I'm just saying I'm not going to let that in. And then when it was his turn, he said, I'm kind of I'm becoming demotivated to bully her. I'm totally demotivated. Now he was enjoying it because he got to the horrible things. He said, I'm so demotivated. I'm running out of stuff to say because she just won't let it in. And then they switched, and she said the same thing. What's the point? He's not letting it in. I just want to stop this now.
Yeah.
So that's the fourth option. Well, that won't work because I'm not letting it in. And the fifth stage is to say, particularly with adults, like if you have a bullying co-worker, do you know, since we're sharing here, you do know, don't you, that people who are critical have so much criticism reserved for themselves. They actively dislike themselves, and you're actually showing me and the entire office that you really don't like yourself.
By critiquing me.
Yeah, by critiquing, you're just showing me.
Yeah.
Yeah, critical people always have criticism reserved for themselves. They are full of self-criticism, but they reflect it out. And superior people and happy people always praise, and people who feel inadequate always criticize, because criticize withers you and praise builds you up. And if you can use those 5 techniques, thanks for sharing, could you repeat that? Are you trying to hurt my feelings? Won't work, I'm not letting it in. Since we're sharing, did you know what is running your critical behavior? You don't let it in, and being able to not let in criticism, that too will change your life. It makes you bulletproof. You can't stop people being mean and having a horrible day, and we now have trolling, which is becoming an epidemic, so it's actually worse. Our kids used to get bullied at school and go home to a sanctuary.
Now they're bullied online.
Now they're bullied online, on the phone, and it never ends, and they feel really attacked. And see, when you find trolls, they're usually really miserable and unhappy, but they love the power because they have no power. They live on their own or with their mum. They have no life. I mean, we had a terrible situation in England where somebody was trolling this person whose child had been kidnapped, and when they exposed her, she killed herself.
Oh, man.
Which was a terrible thing for her, but obviously her sense of shame that she was outed and to kill herself, but she must have felt terrible. I felt so sorry for her. But she was very vicious in her trolling, but that's a really unhappy person. She needed a lot of help. But when you can teach people to come back from criticism without fighting or going, well, I hate you too, or you're shut up, or crying, when you can just teach them, look, I'm not letting it. It's like if I try to give you a gift, you go, no, I don't need that gift. I'm holding the gift. I can't give you something if you don't take it.
Right.
I can't serve papers on you unless you accept them. I can't serve a volley to you unless you volley it back. So when you learn that people can try and give you anything, but if you don't accept it, you haven't let it in. And if you don't let it in, it can't hurt you. It just hurts the person who's left holding it. And I've worked all over the world with people who have it all, CEOs and movie stars and athletes. And what I discovered working with the world's highest achievers is that they're not so different to you or me, except that they understand how to unlock the full potential of their mind. And I'm going to show you today how to unlock the full potential of your mind. Here's the thing about your mind to understand: it works for you. You don't work for it. Your mind has one job, and that job is to keep you alive on the planet against what were once not really great odds. So your mind's job is to make sure you live. To live, you have to find connection and avoid rejection. That's how we survive. Survival was always a numbers game. The more we would connect to, the more we would make it. The less we got rejected, the more we would make it. And so if you want to unlock the potential of your mind, first of all, you have to understand that you have to not see rejection as a life-threatening event that will kill you, because it won't. It can often make you stronger. And then you need to understand that there are 5 things that very successful people do, quite naturally, many of them. And you can do them unnaturally, and if you do them unnaturally enough, they become natural and they become your own. And here's the first tip to unlock the vast potential of your mind. People who succeed do what they do not want to do to get to where they want to be. An Olympic athlete will get up at 5 in the morning, chip the ice off their car windscreen, and they will train in the snow. They train in the cold. They train on Christmas Day. They eat a different diet. They push themselves a little bit because they want to get a medal. So people who succeed are always prepared to do what they don't want to do to get to where they want to be. And they do it first. People who fail without meaning to will give up their dream faster than do what they don't want to do. If you want to unlock the potential of your mind, you must be prepared to do what you do not want to do to get to where you want to be. Here's a simple example. You want to look great in your jeans and look great on the beach. You've got to do what you don't want to do, which is forgo cakes and cookies and sandwiches and ice cream. It's like, okay, to get what I want, I've got to accept I can't have this. I've got to do what I don't want to get where I want. I've got to give up cookies to get the body I want. I want to write a best-selling book. I'm going to have to stay up late on my own, writing, editing, sending it out to publishers. They might reject it. I've got to do a lot of what I don't want to do to get to where I want to be. I'm going to be a speaker. I'm going to walk on stage, and people might not like me. It's very pressured walking on stage. But if you want a platform, you do what you don't want to do to get to where you want to be. You do what you don't do naturally. And then you get to where you want to be. And you must do what you don't want to do first. That is very important. I've got to make a difficult call. I've got to speak to someone on a difficult situation. I've got to go to the gym and I don't like the gym. I've got to do all this stuff I don't want to do. But if I want to get to where I want to go, and do what I don't want, and I'm going to do it first. And doing what you don't want to do first makes you feel like a winner. Here's a third way that you unlock the vast potential of your mind. Come back from rejection. Do not allow yourself to see no as a negative, one direction. They didn't win X Factor. And they didn't go away and go, we didn't win, we weren't voted the winners. They said, well, it doesn't matter, we'll come back. And many people who've come second or third on places like Shark Tank and Dragon's Den have gone on to have immense success. Coming back from failure doesn't mean you don't fail. It's how quickly you get up again. If you do not let in rejection, if you will not take no for an answer, then you will come back. The Sopranos as a series was rejected. Desperate Housewives was rejected. Meryl Streep was rejected. Whoopi Goldberg was rejected. Many people who have immense success have been deeply rejected, and it's not the rejection, it's what you do about it. Do you allow it to make you hide away and go, oh, no, I can't be rejected again? Or do you come back? Coming back from no, seeing it as a delay and not a denial, is a huge ability to unlock the potential of your mind. And finally, most people don't want to hear this, people who make it take action every single day in the direction of their goals. And someone said to Michael Jordan, you're so lucky. He said, the more I practice, the luckier I become. People like that don't take 2 weeks off and sit around the house eating pizza. If you take action every day in the direction of your goals, You can only succeed. So do what you don't want to do first. Don't take no for an answer. Come back from rejection. Take action every day in the direction of your goals. Do not allow destructive criticism to slow you down. Remember that we all get criticized. We all hear mean things. We go, I hate your product. I hated that book. I hated you. Your ability to decide what to do with that will shape your life, because events don't affect you, as strange as it may sound. It's the meaning you attach. You can hear someone at school say, you'll never amount to anything, and you have a choice. You're right, or I'll show you. Someone can say, I don't like this product, it's rubbish, and you can go, okay, I'll just go home and give up, or you can go into that, I'll show you. And you have a brilliant mind, and you do have a brilliant mind. You always have a choice. Rationalize why you feel so bad, so defeated, or talk yourself out of it. So the final potential of your brilliant mind to unlock is this. Your mind listens to every word you say. Every word you say and every thought you think is a blueprint that your mind and body must work to meet. When you say, if I get rejected again, it will destroy me. I could never do that because, I can't do rejection. That's not good for me because I'm no good with confrontation. I can't ask what I want. I have a great problem speaking to people. I'm not good when attention is on me. When you say that, you are stating a blueprint. And now your mind and body have no choice but to turn into the blueprint. People say, oh, I love dogs. Aren't they amazing? They're man's best friend. They're so like, I could never live in a world without dogs. Find dogs that love me. People say, oh, I don't like dogs. They're vicious. They're unpredictable. You never know when they're going to turn on you. Have different animals. Even people who say with children, well, they're neurotic and it's such hard work. Having a baby is the hardest job in the world. They keep you up all night. I never believed that. I found it easy and wonderful and joyous because you get to choose what you say about anything. And if you really, really, really want to unlock your vast potential, and here's something else that I must add in, your potential expands as you move towards it. You have no idea what your potential is, because as you move towards it, it moves, and it moves again, and it moves again. And when your mind moves to a new dimension, you know what? It never, ever, ever moves back. It's why athletes break Olympic records, and then 20 other people break the same record, and then someone breaks an even better record. So you don't have to know what your potential is, and some of you don't, but you do know this. Your potential expands as you move towards it, then it expands again, and expands, and it never goes back. So if you want to unlock phenomenal potential, talk to your mind like this. Say, hey mind, this is what I want from my life. This is what I insist on. This is what I require of myself. I require taking action every day in the direction of my goals. If I don't want to do something, I'm going to do it first. That's what winners do, and I want to be a winner. I require myself to come back from no, to come back from rejection, to take action every day, to take me to where I want to go, to do what I don't want to do, and to like the process. And if you say to your mind, I want this, I like it, I've chosen it, your mind doesn't stop to go, is that true or not true? Is that a useful or not useful belief? Is that healthy or unhealthy? It lets it in. So think about what you want and tell your mind, I want this, I require this, I insist on this. This is what I want, this is what I require. So many of my clients who are famous rock stars, well, the first 2 years it was really hard. I went up and down the freeway in the back of a van with 5 other guys. There were no seats in there. It was awful. We traveled all night. We earned no money. We shared horrible digs, like 4 of us in a room. But we kept our mind on the vision. We want to be rock stars. If this is the price we have to pay, traveling up and down the freeway, not getting enough, we'll pay the price. We'll pay the price to get to where we want to be. And of course, when you get to where you want to be, you forget the price you paid. But you must be willing to pay that price. Do what you don't want to do. Do it first. Come back from no, come back from rejection. Take action every day in the direction of your goals. And talk to your mind like it's a PA that needs your guidance. I want this. I require this. I insist on this. I want this. Here's another sentence that will change your life and unlock your potential. I have chosen to do this, and I have chosen to feel great about it. I have chosen to stay up all night working on my business, working on my website, working on my book, my novel, my poetry, my painting, my business plan. I have chosen to put in the hours, but I've chosen to feel great about it. You see, your mind doesn't stop to disagree or agree, it just accepts it. And when you say, I've chosen this, I've chosen to say no to cake and yes to apples because I want to have a flat stomach, your mind says, okay. And when you go, oh, it's so difficult, I really want to be fit, but I don't want to eat apples. I need cake. I love cake. Cake is my friend. Now your mind is so confused because you told it what you didn't want. I don't want to give up donuts and fast food and McDonald's, but I really do want a flat stomach. I don't want to do that. People who succeed focus on what they want. And they say, what's the price? I'll pay it. So I want you to imagine I'm inviting you to join a club. The club is the club where you will unlock the potential of your phenomenal mind. But you have to pay membership dues like all good clubs. And here are the membership dues that you must pay to join the club for people who've unlocked their phenomenal potential. You must pay the membership due of taking action every day towards your goals. Every day. There is no day off on the way up. Plenty when you've made it. And even if you're just taking one action on a weekend, doing a bit of research, sending some emails, you will always feel like a winner. Here's another membership due. Do what you don't want to do to get to where you want to go. Studying, applying yourself, learning something new, asking for help. You don't want to do it? Do it anyway. And you must do it first. When you do it first, you feel good about yourself all day. You must bounce back from no. You must not let rejection stop you. It's a delay, but not a denial. One of my clients, who is a very, very famous rock star, said, everyone says I was an overnight success. He said, the truth is that overnight was 12 long years. I sang jingles, I sang backing singing. I sometimes thought I'd never make it, but I kept going. I kept my eye on what I wanted to do. When I was rejected, I came back. When someone said no, I said, I'm going to come back until you say yes. And then I made it. And now I've made it. It's almost like a dream, those 12 long years. I can hardly even remember them. And that's important. So be prepared to take those actions. Be prepared to dialogue with your mind, to talk to your mind, to remember you don't work for it, it works for you. Give it clear, detailed instructions. Remember the blueprint and make your blueprint crystal clear. I require this. I demand this of myself. I insist on this. I give this to myself. You must act in a way that is utterly consistent with the way you define yourself. Define yourself as a winner. Adopt those habits until they feel like you've always had them. Make them your own. And if you make those habits your own, you will only unlock your potential, not just now, but for the rest of your long, joyful, happy life. So if you think you can, and if you think you can't, you're absolutely right, because you are what you think. And every athlete, every Olympic athlete bar none, every celebrity, every rock star or actor that you see must believe in themselves. For people to believe in you as an athlete, as a performer, they have to believe in themselves first. They have to have a belief that is so strong, so invincible, so consistent, so ever-present that others believe it too. Muhammad Ali said, I told myself I was the greatest before I really was the greatest, before it became true, and then it became true. What a concept. Say, I'm the greatest, and become the greatest. And we'll say to Michael Jordan, gosh, you're lucky. He said, I know, the more I practice, the luckier I become. So what he's really saying is, I have earned my greatness. And we often look at singers, we look at movie stars, and we think, well, that was easy. It isn't often easy. Ed Sheeran slept in parks. He busked in the street. He was determined to make it. He got a lot of rejection. He knew he had a phenomenal gift, a phenomenal talent, and he must share that with the world. He knew that. Eminem was laughed at when he became a rapper, but he knew that he was great, he was amazing, he was gifted, and if you're given that kind of talent, you certainly need to share it with the world. Imagine if Eminem was a plumber. If Ed Sheeran was a builder, nothing wrong with that, but we'd have never got to share their greatness. So this single attribute people have of saying, I'm good at this, I'm great at this, this is my gift, this has got my name all over it, I was meant to do this, no one can do this better than me. There's a great story that Celine Dion sent a master tape to, I don't know, maybe Sony, could be any recording company. And she called them and said, what do you think? They said, we didn't like it. She said, you didn't listen to it. There is no way you could hear my voice and turn me down. They were so shocked. They went, go and find that cassette. Played it, made history, they signed her. But imagine if she went, oh, okay. Yeah, I get it, you don't like my voice. All right, I'll do something else. We never would have heard that song. My heart will go on. So many people who are knocked back come back and go, no, 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 you don't understand. This is who I am. This is what I do. I have a gift. I have a voice. I have a talent. And that single attribute of knowing they're good and telling you without bragging, without even showing off, just saying, hey, this is my gift, this is my skill set, this is my area of excellence. No one can do this better than me. And imagine if you're a flight attendant and you had that gift to say, hey, you're in safe hands, to be the kind of parent that isn't intimidated by a school teacher, because you know I am the best parent, I'm the best partner, I'm the best at what I do. Whatever you do, you can be the best at it. There's someone in London called Jane Ashley, she's Paul McCartney's girlfriend, and she makes cakes, only cakes. She doesn't make chicken recipes or pies, just cakes. She charges $800 for a cake. She's written books about cakes. She has a shop just selling cakes. And she's an expert at one thing, and she tells everyone, I am the best cake maker in the world. Imagine if you had that and you could say, my nursery school, my coffee bar is the very, very best because I'm the best, because I promise you, if you don't believe in you, how can someone else believe in you? How can anyone believe in you if you don't believe in you? You have the power to access phenomenal potential to be the best, and you don't have to be famous. Not everybody wants that, but you can still be the best at what you do. I am the best hairdresser, bar none. I'm the best plumber. I'm the best contractor. I'm the best at having people around to my house and making a lovely dinner, and people just love hanging out with me because I'm so warm and friendly and caring and entertaining. Imagine that if you had such unshakable self-belief in your gift, your talent, your skill set, whatever it was. The other day I was saying to someone, oh, I can turn any cat. They were going, oh, I got this cat. And I said, I can turn any cat. I can turn any cat with food and love, because I can. I wasn't showing off. It's like, oh, give me this wild, crazy cat. I'll turn it into a true pussycat, because I can do that, because I understand animals, and they just need patience. They need dialogue. Don't have to be famous to do that, but I have a friend who was actually in the Boomtown Rats. He was a rock star. And when he left the Boomtown Rats, he also had that gift to turn any animal. And he created a whole company training animals to be on stage. He actually trains the corgis that you see in The Crown. He's trained so many animals, to be in adverts, to be on the screen, because it's his gift. And he'll say, give me an animal. I can train any animal with love, with words. I can make your pet famous if you want me to. And he really can, but he doesn't brag. That's his gift. So imagine if you had that unshakable confidence in your voice, that unshakable conviction, that unstoppable knowing. No one can do this better than me because it's my gift. It's what I was meant to do. It's what I was put on the planet to do. You might hear people say, I love babies. I've got a gift with babies. I'm really good with horses. I'm really good with people. I'm great with old people. I love listening to their stories. And it's not bragging. It's stating the truth. Find out what you're good at. Tell everybody. And make that a statement of truth. A lot of us get very confused with our mind and think that we should control our mind, and our mind is like sabotaging us, and actually your mind is often sabotaging you in 3 different ways. And when you can understand what's really going on between your mind sabotaging you, then you can stop it. I've always believed you can't fix what you don't understand. And understanding is power. And many people say, my mind, and I can't control stuff, and I'm just out of control, and I can't change. I've always been like this. And that's not true. When you can look at what runs you, your wiring, and make sense of it, you can also overcome it. So this is one of the most powerful ways that your mind could sabotage you before you understand it and change it. And I've always found that this realization is life-changing. So here's the number 1 way your mind sabotages you. You are hardwired and super-coded to run away from what is unfamiliar and to run back to what is familiar. What does that mean? Well, it means that 500 years ago, what made you safe, what guaranteed that you could survive on the planet, was staying with the familiar and avoiding the unfamiliar. Nobody who lived in a walled city or indeed a fort in the Wild West would go out for a walk late at night or go, I think I'm going to meet some new people. I'm a bit bored. What made you safe was same old, same food, same people, same environment. And your primitive mind understands this. The familiar makes me safe. And if you've ever seen 2-year-old kids, they'll say, I don't like that, it's got lumps in it. I don't want that, it's different. That's the wrong spoon, the wrong cup, the wrong story. They only like one doll, one teddy. They want the same story every night. They won't eat stuff they don't know or recognize because their primitive mind at the age of 2 says if you only eat what you already know, you'll make it. And now 25 years pass and we find ourselves liking the same type of person, destructive, a heartbreaker, absent. We find ourselves going for what's familiar. And nothing makes this more clear than this study. 70% of lottery winners will go bankrupt in 3 years if they haven't had a familiar relationship with money. If they've only ever just made enough to pay the bills and had nothing left, then they will find it very hard to invest that money and keep that money. So how do you get around that? Well, first of all, understand it. Okay, I've sat on the couch for so long eating potato chips and watching TV. I've forgotten that my body's designed to run and jump and move. I've had my heart broken so many times that I now just expect that. Every job I'm in has never worked out. So it is an absolute fact that you are hardwired and super-coded to go back to what you know and avoid what you don't know. But here's another fact. You can make anything you like familiar. I've seen this the most in such a simple thing. When people come into my office and I might say, oh, that's a lovely coat. They go, oh, I've had it for 7 years, got a hole in it. Or, Oh, I heard you were the best salesperson in your team. Not really. It was just a stroke of luck. I've seen this at the lower end and right at the top. Oh, I love that movie you made. No, it wasn't very good. It won an Oscar. I know, there were no good nominations that year. But your second movie won an Oscar. I know, there were even worse nominations that year. I hear you've written a best-selling book. Oh, that's just a fluke. I don't know how that came about. And I have to stop and go, oh, do you see what's happening here? I am praising you. Not only are you rejecting the praise, you're adding in criticism. You know why? In your life, praise was unfamiliar. Guess what was familiar? Of course you know, being criticized. And now your brain is so keen to run back to what it knows that it rejects praise and adds in criticism. I just took in 8 cats that are about to be euthanized, tiny kittens, and I saw with them that I had to hold them every day and go, okay, we're going to make being stroked familiar. We're going to make being held familiar. And very quickly they would lie in my arms like babies. If I hadn't touched them, they would have been feral. So, and that happens with babies. If you hold a baby that's never held, they go rigid, they have attachment disorder. If you don't have love or praise or money or success, you start to reject it. So how do you get around that first way your mind sabotages you? Do this. You go, I am making praise familiar. I am making success familiar. I'm making taking sugar out of my coffee familiar. I'm making going to the gym or doing some stretches at home or really believing in myself familiar. Never add, if it kills me, if it's the last thing I do, just say I'm making it familiar. And as you do that, make all the negative stuff unfamiliar, being down on yourself, diminishing yourself, criticizing yourself. Make praise familiar, criticism unfamiliar. That on its own, I promise you, will change your entire life. Here is the second way your mind can sabotage you, and it's a biggie. You know, 500 years ago, we died from rejection. We lived in a tribe. If they cast you out, banished you, rejected you, marooned you, isolated you, that was a fate worse than death, because it was kind of like death in Romeo and Juliet when they said, we are banishing you outside the city walls. He said, well, I'd rather be killed. There's nothing out there but purgatory. So we've come onto the planet with a fear of rejection, because it wasn't that long ago that we died from rejection. But now we don't die from rejection. Now safety isn't a numbers game. We don't need to live in a big tribe and to know we belong. We can live on our own and make it to 102. But we still feel as if rejection will kill us. And you know how this is real? Listen to some songs. I'll die if you leave me. I can't live without you. My life is over without you. You're the only one for me. I can't go on. I can't live if living is without you. Well, none of that's true. Most people have been in a lovely relationship, got dumped, it hurts, and they find someone else. I've been dumped. I'm sure you've been dumped. I had my heart broken. I guess you have too. But then we found someone even better. So you have to not fear rejection. People say to me, you know, I want to be a speaker, but I'm terrified of going on stage. I want to be an actor, but what if I get rejected? Well, what if you get rejected? Who cares? Look at your life. How much have you been rejected? That kid at school that rejected you, the first job that fired you, the person that dumped you, but you're still here. Rejection can be the best thing that ever happens to you if you can bounce back. And here's the third way that we sabotage ourselves. We tell ourselves lies and we believe them. I can't cope. I'm in overwhelm. I'm dying under the pressure. This stress is killing me. This job, the death of me. These kids will be the death of me. This is killing me, driving me crazy, making me go insane. You see, this is not true. If you are prepared to lie to yourself on a daily basis, I'm a big fat pig, I haven't slept for a week, I'm exhausted, my headache is killing me. If you're prepared to lie to yourself, which is okay, we all do it, at least tell yourself a better lie. I'm amazing, I have phenomenal coping skills, challenging clients teach me the best. I have a super fast metabolic rate. I'm magnetically lovable. And people say that's not true. Neither is saying stress is killing me, I eat like a pig, I'm an out of control train wreck. None of them are true, but you might as well tell yourself a better lie. I can only tell you it will change your entire life. Now you've heard of Stockholm Syndrome, where people attach themselves to their captives to feel safe. In Homeland, Brody attached himself to his captors. And that happens. We attach ourselves to people because of our fear of rejection, our need to stay with what is familiar, and our ability to respond to the lies we tell ourselves. And with coronavirus, we've got this whole thing now where it's actually become so familiar to be at home that something, oh, I don't know how I'm going to cope now. I've got used to lounging around, lying on the sofa, not pushing myself, not going out, and now I'm going out, it's feeling unfamiliar. So we have to make what was comfortable, uncomfortable, what is uncomfortable, comfortable. Check out my next video here. I see all my clients and they all say the same thing. I'm waiting for motivation. You know what? Motivation doesn't go, here I am, I'm motivation, I'm at your door, and I've come to motivate you. You are firing new neurons. The mind